Modern-day France and Napoleonic France represent two distinct periods in the country's history, separated by over 2 centuries of transformation and evolution. Comparing these two eras provides valuable insights into the changes and developments that France has undergone over the years. One of the most apparent differences between modern-day France and Napoleonic France is their political landscapes. Napoleonic France was characterized by a centralized autocracy under the rule of Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte. It was marked by the Napoleonic Code, a comprehensive legal system that greatly influenced civil law in many countries. In contrast, modern-day France is a democratic republic governed by a constitution that upholds the principles of liberty, equality, and fraternity. The French Revolution of 1789 played a pivotal role in the transition from a monarchy to a republic, and set the stage for the democratic institutions that exist today. The modern French political system is characterized by a presidential republic with a multi-party system, where citizens have the right to vote in free and fair elections. Another significant contrast lies in the socio-economic structure of the two periods. Napoleonic France was marked by a rigid social hierarchy, with a privileged aristocracy and clergy at the top, followed by the bourgeoisie, and a vast population of peasants who endured heavy taxation and exploitation. In modern-day France, the social structure has evolved considerably. The abolition of feudal privileges, industrialization, and urbanization have led to the emergence of a more egalitarian society. Cultural and societal norms have also evolved between the two periods. Napoleonic France was characterized by a strong emphasis on French nationalism, militarism, and the spread of French culture across Europe. The Napoleonic era witnessed the preservation of art and culture through the looting of valuable artworks from conquered territories. In modern-day France, cultural diversity and multiculturalism are celebrated, reflecting the nation's commitment to tolerance and inclusivity. French culture remains influential globally, with its language, cuisine, fashion, and cinema continuing to make significant contributions to world culture. In conclusion, the comparison between modern-day France and Napoleonic France reveals profound differences in political structure, socio-economic dynamics, and cultural values. While Napoleonic France was characterized by autocracy, a rigid social hierarchy, and a focus on militarism and nationalism, modern France has embraced democracy, social equality, economic diversification, and cultural diversity. These transformations reflect the evolution of France over the centuries, shaped by historical events, societal movements, and changing global dynamics. Despite these differences, there are also traces of continuity, as France's rich history and cultural heritage continue to influence its identity and global presence. Prince Clemens Wenzel von Metternich was a prominent figure in European politics during the early 19th century. Born in 1773 in Koblenz, Germany, he came from a noble Austrian family and played a pivotal role in shaping the political landscape of his time as a diplomat and statesman. Metternich's career reached its zenith during the Napoleonic era. He served as Austria's foreign minister from 1809 to 1848 and played a significant role in the Congress of Vienna in 1814 to 1815. This diplomatic gathering aimed to redraw the map of Europe after the defeat of Napoleon, and Metternich was a key architect of the post-Napoleonic order. His efforts led to the establishment of the Concert of Europe, a system of cooperation among major European powers to maintain peace and stability on the continent. One of Metternich's core beliefs was the principle of legitimacy, which emphasized the restoration of legitimate monarchies and the suppression of revolutionary movements. This philosophy guided his actions during his time in office. He advocated for conservatism and sought to preserve the traditional order in Europe, often in opposition to liberal and nationalist movements. Metternich's diplomatic skills and ability to maintain a balance of power contributed to a relatively peaceful Europe during his tenure. However, his conservative approach also faced criticism from those who desired greater political freedoms and national self-determination. The revolutions of 1848 marked the decline of Metternich's influence. He resigned as foreign minister and fled Austria as revolutionary fervor swept across the continent. He spent his later years in exile, living in various European cities until his death in 1859. Prince Metternich's legacy is complex. He is remembered as both a masterful diplomat who helped establish a period of European stability, and as a symbol of conservative reaction against the forces of change. His approach to diplomacy and his emphasis on the balance of power continue to be subjects of study and debate among historians and political scientists, making him a fascinating figure in the history of European politics. Josephine de Beauharnais was most famously known as the first wife of Napoleon Bonaparte, the French military leader and emperor. Born in 1763 in Martinique, she moved to France and married Alexandre de Beauharnais, with whom she had 2 children. After her first husband was executed during the Reign of Terror, she married Napoleon in 1796. Josephine played a significant role in the social and political life of France during Napoleon's rule. Despite her influence and Napoleon's affection for her, their marriage was tumultuous and complicated by political ambitions and personal issues. Notably, they did not have any children together, which was a significant factor in Napoleon's decision to divorce her in 1810 to marry Marie-Louise of Austria, who could potentially bear him an heir. Josephine continued to be respected and remained an important figure in French society until her death in 1814.
During the Napoleonic era, approximately 1799, 1815, France, Spain, Portugal, United Kingdom, Ireland, part of the United Kingdom, Netherlands, Belgium, part of the Netherlands and later under Luxembourg, part of the Netherlands and later under French rule, Switzerland, Swiss Confederation, Italy, various states and regions, including the Austria, Prussia, Russia, Sweden including Finland, which was part of Sweden at the time, Denmark including Norway, which was part of Denmark at the time, Norway, part of Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Norway after the Treaty of Kiel in 1814, Bavaria, Saxony, Württemberg, Baden, Hesse, Brunswick, Hanover, Westphalia under Napoleonic rule, Naples under Napoleonic rule, Sicily under Napoleonic rule, Poland under Napoleonic control as the Duchy of Croatia part of the Habsburg monarchy, Serbia part of the Ottoman Empire but with autonomy, Montenegro part of the Ottoman Empire but with autonomy, Wallachia part of the Ottoman Empire, Moldavia part of the Ottoman Empire, Greece under Ottoman rule, Albania under Ottoman rule, Bulgaria under Ottoman rule,
Ottoman Empire including Anatolia and much of the Balkans. Please note that the political boundaries and names of some countries during this era were different from what we recognize today due to the various wars, treaties, and territorial changes that occurred during the Napoleonic era. Hello everyone! In today's video, we will be covering all empires, countries that are independent during the Napoleonic era.
France, Spain, Portugal, United Kingdom, including Ireland, Netherlands, Switzerland, Swiss Confederation, Italy, various states and regions, Austria, Prussia, Russia, Sweden including Finland, which was part of Sweden at the time, Denmark including Norway, which was part of Denmark at the time, Bavaria, Saxony, Württemberg, Baden, Hesse, Brunswick, Hanover, Serbia with autonomy, Montenegro with autonomy, Wallachia, part of the Ottoman Empire with autonomy,
Moldavia, part of the Ottoman Empire with autonomy. Thank you for watching.
The Battle of Austerlitz, also known as the Battle of the Three Emperors, took place on December 2nd, 1805. It took place during the War of the Third Coalition. It was a decisive engagement between the French army, led by Napoleon Bonaparte, and the Russian and Austrian forces. Napoleon's strategic brilliance secured a significant victory, solidifying his reputation as a military genius. The battle is considered one of his greatest triumphs.
The Battle of Leipzig, also known as the Battle of Nations, took place from October 16th to 19, 1813. It was a decisive confrontation. During the Napoleonic Wars, the coalition forces, comprising Russia, Prussia, Austria, and Sweden, faced Napoleon's French army. The battle resulted in Napoleon's defeat, marking a turning point in the war and leading to the eventual downfall of his empire. The sheer scale and intensity of the Battle of Leipzig earned it the title Battle of Nations.
The Duke of Wellington, Arthur Wellesley, was a prominent British military and political figure during the Napoleonic era. He gained fame for his role in defeating Napoleon at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. Wellington's strategic brilliance and leadership contributed significantly to the Allied victory, making him a celebrated figure in British history. After his military success, he also served in various political positions, including Prime Minister. Horatio Nelson, a legendary British naval commander, etched his name into history through his exceptional leadership and strategic prowess during the Napoleonic Wars. Born in 1758, Nelson's naval career soared, as he earned a reputation for audacity and fearlessness. Nelson's legacy endures not only for his tactical brilliance, but also for his leadership style marked by a deep sense of duty and personal courage. His iconic signal, "England expects that every man will do his duty," encapsulates the indomitable spirit that immortalizes Horatio Nelson. Horatio Nelson met his end during the Battle of Trafalgar on October 21, 1805, while leading the British fleet against the combined forces of France and Spain. He sustained a fatal gunshot wound aboard his flagship, HMS Victory. The sniper, a French sharpshooter, stationed in the masts of the French ship Redoutable, fired the fatal shot, mortally wounded. Nelson was carried below deck, where he succumbed to his injuries.
Christmas in France during the Napoleonic era had its charm while some traditions remained, like festive feasts and exchanging gifts. The revolution had brought changes.
The focus shifted towards a more secular celebration with an emphasis on family gatherings and communal festivities.
Christmas in France during the Napoleonic era had its charm while some traditions remained, like festive feasts and exchanging gifts. The revolution had brought changes.
The focus shifted towards a more secular celebration with an emphasis on family gatherings and communal festivities. Welcome everyone. Today, we'll be discussing two influential French military commanders of the 19th century Marshal Ney and Marshal Murat. Marshal Ney, who had his birthplace in Portugal, was a legendary military leader during the French Revolution and the early 19th century. He served as the Minister of War in the early years of Napoleon Bonaparte's rule, and rose to prominence during the campaigns in Russia and Italy. Ney's most notable achievement was his role in the Battle of Austerlitz, where he led French forces against the combined forces of Austria, Russia, and Spain, although Ney ultimately lost the battle. His victory at Austerlitz marked the beginning of Napoleon's reign and solidified his position as one of the world's greatest military leaders. On the other hand, Marshal Murat, who had his birthplace in the town of Austerlitz, was a military leader during the French Empire and the early 19th century. He was Napoleon's brother-in-law and was initially a staunch ally of the emperor. However, as the Napoleonic Wars progressed, Murat's power grew, and he eventually came to be seen as a threat to the imperial throne. In 1811, Murat declared himself King of the Two Sicilies, creating the Bourbon monarchy in France despite his ambition. Murat's attempts to invade England were met with failure, and he was ultimately defeated and exiled. Marshal Ney's victory at Austerlitz and his rise to fame during the Napoleonic Wars make him an inspiring figure in military history. In contrast, Marshal Murat's turbulent reign and failed military campaigns make him a controversial figure regardless of one's opinion on either leader. Both Marshal Ney and Marshal Murat served important roles in French military history and contributed to shaping the course of European politics. Who was Napoleon III?
Napoleon III, also known as Napoleon the Great, was the last emperor of the French, and the only person to have served in that role twice. He was born on May 5, 1808 in the village of Elba, Italy. As the son of a simple peasant, he quickly rose through the ranks in the French army and, after participating in the Italian War of Independence, was made a general. In 1799, he overthrew the French monarchy and established the First French Empire. During his reign, Napoleon expanded the empire significantly, including the acquisition of vast territories in Europe, Africa, and the Americas. In 1811, he was crowned emperor and kept that title until his death in 1865. Under his rule, France became the dominant power in Europe, and his name was synonymous with greatness. However, Napoleon's rule was marked by numerous wars, oppressive laws, and rapid personal growth. His thirst for power led him to commit numerous atrocities, including the forced removal of the eyes of thousands of his enemies and the extermination of the indigenous peoples of North America. Despite these actions, Napoleon III is remembered as a great military commander and a visionary leader who helped shape the modern world.
Napoleon Bonaparte was a French military leader and statesman who served as the Emperor of the French from 1799 to 1814. He was born on the island of Corsica in 1769 and rose to prominence during the French Revolution. He was a legendary military commander, and his expeditions expanded the French Empire across Europe, the Middle East, and Africa in 1799. Napoleon defeated the Spanish army at the Battle of Austerlitz, and 2 years later he overthrew the French monarchy and established a constitutional monarchy, making himself Emperor of the French. He was later to defeat the Austria-Hungarian Empire in the Waterloo campaign, ending the Napoleonic Wars and restoring the Bourbon monarchy in France. Following his return to Paris, Napoleon was imprisoned and exiled to St. Helena for the rest of his life. He was defeated and executed by the French government in 1814, and he was canonized as a saint by the Catholic Church in 1920. Despite his many victories, Napoleon was a ruthless and ambitious leader who was known for his cruelty, paranoia, and frequent changes of direction in politics. He left a lasting impact on the world, both as a military commander and a political figure.
The Battle of Waterloo took place on June 18, 1815, in present-day Belgium. It was a decisive confrontation between Napoleon Bonaparte and the Allied forces led by the Duke of Wellington and Gebhard Lebrecht von Blücher. The Allies emerged victorious, marking the end of Napoleon's rule.